Welcome to Quit to Win, the podcast where we have our honest conversation about growth, resilience, reinvention, leadership, and the difficult decision people make on the journey to success. Our today's guest is Bolton, an executive leader, expert, keynote speaker, and coach with years of experience helping leaders navigate pressure, performance, growth, and transformation. In this conversation, we'll talk about burnouts, redefining success, leadership under pressure, and how to grow without losing yourself in the process. It's really a pleasure and honor having you on the show. Rachel.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rachel. So, Rachel, on paper, your career look incredible, successful. Fortune 500 leadership work, executive coaching, board. But what part of your journey people did not see behind all of this success?
The burnout, if I'm being honest. I got all the way up to vice president of leadership development at a big company called Stanley Black and Decker. And I was so proud of that title and the compensation, like the money is good,
Yeah.
But but the truth is, about midway in, about 6 months in, I started to realize that I don't have any time for myself. When you get to a vice president level at certain companies, your calendar, you have back-to-back meetings. So you end a meeting and you start a new one, and then you end that meeting and you start a new one, to the point where I was eating at my desk every day. I never left my room.
Ooh.
That feels like a prison in a way. And so I was praying to God. I'm a faithful person. Every morning I would wake up at 4 a.m., 4 in the morning, and I would pray, dear God, I don't know how you're going to get me out of this. Please get me out of this. So even though on paper, like you said, it looked like a great career and a great title and a great role, but living it physically was just draining my soul. You know what I mean?
So you speak openly about pressure, burnout, and the constant being on. When did you realize success was starting to cost you something personally?
Man, it hit me like a ton of bricks last year because I had a lot of travel on top of that heavy calendar schedule. And so even as you're traveling, you're leaving your family, you're leaving your spouse, and then you have to be on while you're away out of town. And then you come back and you're back in those meetings all over again. So you never get a chance, not even on the weekends, not even on holidays, to really unwind, relax, ignore work, especially the higher you go. I mean, if you think about a CEO or someone who is an officer at a company, and I train some people who do this, I coach some people who do this, they are never off. They are always, and that is tiring. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was really a whole lot. And so you mentioned having almost no space on your white calendar. What did that season teach you?
Well, I'll tell you, Benaiah, I have a 3-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. And I've been married 18 years this October. And I've got to tell you, they were home for the summer last year, summer break out of school. And I would be in my room with the door locked. Something of, yeah, because I don't want my son to like walk in while I'm on a meeting or something, or my daughter to come in. So I'd have to lock the door and I'd have to put a sign on it to say, don't come in, mommy's working. Well, after doing that for weeks during the summer, it just showed me that I was locking out my own family. I was literally closing off my family so that I could be present for work. And I don't know, but I think it should be the other way around. I think you should be present for your family, but also open for work, of course. So it was, I'm telling you, locking my children out of my room for an 8-hour workday felt just really hard. That was when I realized, okay, I can't do this anymore. And I'll tell you the real truth. I keep mentioning summer because we have a pool in my neighborhood, and my husband would take the kids to the pool, and I'd see them leaving to go to the pool, and like a little tear would come down my eye. I'm like, I want to go to the pool. I want to go swimming. But
Yeah.
no, I've got to sit in my room with my door closed on a computer for hours. I think that was when I said, okay, yeah, I can't do this forever. Got to quit to win.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. That was really a whole lot. So how do ambitious people know when they are building success versus slowly losing themselves?
Gosh, it's always too late, usually. Just like with me, it was,
Yeah.
I had already been in the role. I was already making the money. By the time I realized, it was too late. Like I had already been bought in. When it seems to happen is when there's a crisis, some sort of health crisis. Maybe you have a spouse that isn't doing well, or an aging parent, depending on age, or a child who needs specific attention or health care. And you have to weigh, do I go to work and pretend this isn't happening? Or do I stop pretending and focus only on this? And that's when usually they start to see, all right, I've got to make a different choice because I'm choosing work over life.
I could just imagine what it would be like having more like your partner, let's say, being sick, or having more like your grandparent being sick, and your demand you to show up every day. That's more like a total.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard some horror stories. I've heard some really truthful stories about people who their child got sick out of nowhere and they required surgery, and that leader had to be out of the office for 2 weeks. And the organization said, yeah, no, you can't do that. No, we need you. You can't be gone for 2 weeks. So just imagine your employer telling you can't take care of your child, or that you can't be gone that long to take care of a parent. That to me is when, can't do it.
Yeah. So what is the
No.
difference between performing and truly leading?
Well, this is a good one. Performing is an act. So I call performing or performance, just like an actor or an actress or a singer or a dancer. It's an act. It's something that you are putting on, something that you are doing, and you want to do it with excellence. I'm very proud of my high performance, right? But leading is different. Leading is being authentic. Leading is being vulnerable. So think about some of the best leaders you've ever worked for or that you know. They're not just great at performing. You really like them, or you really admire them for who they actually are and how they show up and how they talk with you and how they care about you. To me, that's what leading is. It's being authentic, being yourself, but also being vulnerable and showing people your human side. Real leaders are called leaders because they can get people to follow them, right? And you don't want to follow somebody who doesn't care about you, who isn't real, who isn't authentic. So a true leader is being themselves and they're being vulnerable. Whereas, a performance is an act, and anybody can act, but not everybody can lead.
That was really cool. And especially when you just make reference of performance and art, it just don't mean that sometimes we go for concerts owing to want someone to perform, and usually sap energy, and that's why they practice just to kind of show their arts within the particular specific amount of time. And after that, they have to recuperate again and game themselves back. So you just speak a whole lot of volumes. There's a whole lot of energy being demanded to show up and perform compared to, leading is just being yourself and being your authentic self. Yeah.
Yes. And I have really great mentors who are chief operating officers, they're CEOs. And you think because they got way up to the top, like, oh, they must be the best performers. And nope, they will say, I don't perform at this stage. I ask questions. I care about people. My job is to influence people and be real. And so that's what I love about the leaders that really do it. They are being real and they're leading from the heart and not just performing,
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think many successful people secretly struggle with imposter syndrome?
Do I think or do I know? Because I know they do. I really thought this was interesting. Did you know that top performers like Beyonce, like Taylor Swift, I don't know, any top performer, before they go on stage, before they take the mic, they still get imposter syndrome? And you're like, Beyonce? Like, how is that possible? But deep down inside, I think we all kind of have a moment of, okay, am I really going to do this? I'm sure with you, when you started your show, probably a piece of you was like, am I really going to host my own? We all feel like we're imposters at times. Even at the leadership levels I'm talking about, chief operating officers, chief executive officers, vice presidents, first-time directors, they all feel like, I don't know. Can I really do this? Imagine someone made you a CEO. Would you freak out and feel like,
Yeah, actually, I'll freak out.
well, the higher you go, the higher the imposter syndrome is. I don't think people realize that. They think it only happens to like managers or individual contributors, entrepreneurs. You're an entrepreneur and you wonder if you can do it. No, it even happens to company officers and leaders in corporations. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really a whole lot. And I just remember starting podcast. I think the first guest I have, I think I almost keep reminding my guest that I'm sorry, this is my first time. I keep
See?
saying that unconsciously, meaning that I didn't just know.
Yeah.
It's really a lot. Yeah.
Yes, it happens to all of us, even me. I mean, I left that role that I mentioned before. I left it in November of last year. So for the last 5 months, I have not been at a corporation. And for me, that's weird because it's like, well, who am I?
Yeah.
A company. And so even I felt a little bit like an imposter as I started to do things on my own and start to join shows like this as a guest. It's all new. So anytime something is new to you, your body, your subconscious tries to tell you,
Yeah.
this is new. Who do you think you are? What are you doing? So, I mean, even as a parent, a first time parent, before they ever have their child, they worry, can I do this? I don't know how to be a mother. I don't know how to be a father. So it's not just work. It's anytime something feels new that we have not done before, we start to try to talk ourselves out of
Yeah.
it or try to rationalize it. And to me, that's when we should really do it. You won't know until you, just like you
Yeah.
did, okay, listen, this time, but I'm going to try.
Yeah. So true. So true. So what is one mindset that shifts that immediately change how people lead under pressure?
Ooh, one mindset shift that helps people lead under pressure. I would say that it's okay to not have all the answers.
Mm.
Pressure usually comes from an internal expectation where you are telling yourself, I got to be right. I've got to be perfect. I've got to know everything. I have to be perfect. I have to be right. This has to go well. Nothing can mess up. That's your own mental internal pressure you're putting on yourself. Most of the time, the external is not putting that much pressure on you as you're in. So for example, let's say you're a stand-up comedian. All right. And you've got to get on the stage
Yeah.
and make that's not easy.
Yeah.
Like we know,
Yeah.
the minute you get out there, you start having pressure like, oh, I better make them laugh. I better make them laugh. Well, the mindset shift is I don't have to make them laugh. I just got to say things the way I would say it and hopefully they will laugh. That's the shift. It's not having to be perfect, not having to have all the answers. I don't have to be absolutely 100% excellent. I'm just going to go in and be myself and we'll see what happens. I think that's what helps leaders lose some of that pressure. And I'm talking all the way up to the
Yeah.
top. It's usually internal. It's us. We're the ones who put the pressure on ourselves. It's not the audience going, you better make me laugh. You better have
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
We
So
just
true.
think, we just think that. So I think the mindset shift is I don't have to be perfect. And you know what? There's only one perfect person. And I think, I don't think he expects us to be
Yeah.
perfect at all. We've
Yeah.
got to give ourselves permission to fail. That's why I love the name of your show, Quit to Win.
To win.
Sometimes you have to give yourself permission to quit trying, permission to quit being perfect, permission to quit putting pressure on yourself. Because if you can do that, then that's the mindset shift and you can actually enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Nice to
Amazing.
enjoy.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Accept the fact that, yeah, you don't have all the answers and you don't have it all figured out. Yeah. Amazing.
No way. And like parents. So I'll always bring it back to kids because I've got 2 little kids and they think you know everything.
Yeah.
And the truth, it's like, you know what I mean? And the truth is sometimes I have to say, sweetheart, mommy doesn't know that. Mommy doesn't know. I don't know. I don't really know. And it's okay to say you don't know. And as adults, we need to get more comfortable being okay, not being perfect and not having all the answers.
Not being perfect and not having all the
Yeah,
answers. Yeah. Thank you.
that's right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
you have started talking about more openly about faith and leadership. How has faith influenced the way you navigate uncertainty and major decisions?
Yeah, believers want the will of God in everything that they do, and that's hard when you're in a company, when you're in a role, when you're leading and you've got a family. So for example, if God's will is that I don't work that job anymore, he doesn't want me shutting my family out anymore, he has more for me, that means I have to be obedient and let go of a very good job with very good salary.
Yeah.
I'm talking six figures, really good money, um, to say, "Nope, I'm leaving and I'm trusting God." That is probably in my adult life one of the scariest things I've ever done.
Mm,
And I've led big companies. I've traveled the world. I have been on stages. I have hired people. I have fired people. I have coached people. But the hardest job ever was being obedient to God when he
mm,
said, I have something different from you. And also where it shows up for me is you see, I'm wearing my cross. I always wear it. I've always worn it for the last, I don't know, 10 years. And so when you're part of a company, you never know, Benaiah, if there are other faiths, right? There are other
yeah.
religions, other cultures and other styles. And sometimes they want you to hide your necklace or to
Yeah.
not show it so that you don't offend the rest of the people who might be seeing you. And one thing I decided was I was never going to hide that, never going to hide who I believe in and where my faith lies, because he wouldn't hide me. He wouldn't hide from me. Why would I hide him? So I think it's in conviction, having a real, nope, this is what I
Mm,
believe in and I will not change and I don't care, but also being able to be obedient to his will, even if it's, not
yeah.
what you want to do. He says, Benaiah, I need you to start a YouTube channel and put all these on YouTube. And you're like, no, I don't want to
Yeah.
be, we're like Jonah. We're like Jonah. We don't want to go to Nineveh. We want
Yeah.
to stay right where we are. And so I think that's where it's been showing up for me. It's listening and following his will, even when I can't see what is going to happen. Where is my money going to come from if I don't work there? Like, how do I? So he's our provider. He knows the path. He knows our future. One of my favorite verses is Jeremiah 29:11, and my son's middle name is Jeremiah because of it. But he has a future and a hope for us. And so we can trust him even when we don't
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah. So how do you now maintain a conviction when outcome aren't guaranteed?
What's that? Forgive me.
How do you maintain conviction when outcome aren't guaranteed?
Yes. Lots of prayer. Lots of meditation, lots of journaling, and also just asking him for signs. So you ask, how do I maintain conviction? Well, one of the things, and we see this in the Bible a lot, they'll ask, Lord, give me a sign that I'm on the right path, that I'm doing the right. Show me that this is what you have for me, and he'll give me a sign. It might be a commercial. It might be something I see on a billboard as I'm driving somewhere that I haven't been before. I'll be like, okay, I see the sign. I'm supposed to continue doing this. But then in terms of conviction of wearing my cross at work, and for those of you who work in global environments or workplaces where there's a lot of different faiths and you worry about showing yours or talking about yours, one of the things that I just mentioned before is think about how your Lord, how God would feel if he were having to hide you or if he would have to deny you. Would you want him to deny and hide you and tuck you away? No. So why would we do that to or for him? So that helps me. I never want God to turn his back on me and hide and forsake me. So I'll never forsake him. And that's sort of what helped me stay focused and be like, nope, I'm not hiding my necklace. It's a light. Additionally, it may be a light to someone. So they may see me on camera or may see me in person and go, I really like that Rachel. And I can tell she's special. Plus, she believes in God. I wonder if I should start believing in God. So we could be bringing others to Christ as well. So that's what helps me.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So what advice will you give someone who feels stuck between ambition, pressure, and wanting peace?
Ooh, that's a big question. A lot of us are very ambitious. I was very ambitious. I got all the way to vice president and
Mm,
realized, don't really want it. Sometimes we we have ambition for things we don't really know what they really look like if we get it. So, for example, when I was young, I told my dad and mom that I wanted to be a supermodel. I was going to be a supermodel, right? I wanted to be
Yeah.
on the runways and be a supermodel, but I didn't realize what it would take to actually be a model, the diet, the exercise, the travel, the work, the hours, the clothing, the photo shoots. It's really a lot of work that I didn't realize. So I would say really, if you are ambitious, if you really want to get to a certain level, find someone who is at that level and ask them to be your mentor. If I had had someone who was a VP be my mentor before I became a VP, I probably would have never become a VP. I would have seen
Yeah.
like how hard it is and how much pressure it is and how you have no free time. And I would have shifted to something else. And then the second word you used was pressure. What do you say to those who are under pressure right now? I would say, think about if it's sustainable. How long can you last living the way you are? If it's constant pressure every single day, every single month, every single quarter, think about what that's doing to your body physically. I know for some people, their blood pressure goes up,
Yeah.
or they eat poorly, or they drink more, or they sleep less. There are physical signs that you're under too much pressure for too prolonged amount of time. And if that starts to show up, it's time to start asking, maybe this isn't right for me. And then the last piece you said, ambition, pressure, and what else?
Peace. One day
Peace.
peace.
Oh, that's what we want. We want peace, right? Peace is what's in my life right now in a lot of ways, even though I don't have that same role. Yep, I quit. What did I win? I won time with my children. I won peace in my heart and in my mind. I won free time to create things and do things like this with you. So even though it may feel scary and it's like, well, how do I leave? I want to be a top performer. I want to climb to the top. Make sure you know what the top looks like before you get there. Find a mentor. 2, if you are under a lot of pressure for extended amounts of time, maybe think about shifting and doing something different so that you can have that peace that is beyond money, beyond titles, right? I mean, I think the best title I have is wife and mom, right? I
Yeah.
think that's the best.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So lastly, what does success means to you now compared to earlier in your career?
Oh my gosh. Now success looks like, and I have a lot of women and friends who are doing this. They don't work for companies. They don't. They work for themselves. And I didn't realize that you could still have financial security while working for yourself. Now, no one believes it. They're like, no, I need this paycheck every 2 weeks. I like my benefits. I like the predictability. I don't know what I would start my business on. All of those things scare people. That's that imposter syndrome, right? But the truth is, like, success can look like literally no meetings on your calendar. Success can look like doing the things you love. So let's say I love speaking to people. I can go to companies and say, hi, I'm a speaker. Here are the things I speak on. Let me know if you'd like me to speak at your company. And they will pay me to come and speak and do something that I love. That's easy for me. That's my gift. So I would say, try to figure out a way to use your gift. And we all have them. God gave us all gifts. How can you use your gift to make money? And you don't have to use it inside of a corporation. Success can look completely different. I know people who have written books, and just by writing one book, they have money that comes into them automatically every month because they get the royalties from those sales. They go out and they speak on that book. They do book signings. They travel and share that book with companies. And that's their whole world, is just promoting their book and enjoying their life. And I want to do that. Do that. So there's freedom. There's freedom out there for so many of us. And I think we don't embrace that enough. We think, nah, I've got to go the traditional. I can't leave my company. What would I do? You could do 1,000 different things. Possibilities are infinite. So we don't need to just limit ourselves to one thing. Success is not just one lane, one avenue, one corporation. It can be multiple things. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, success is not one thing. Could be multiple things. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think giving a rooms, getting to try us, trying so many other different things to see what guarantees you wanting peace, wanting pressure, and every of them as a balance is really key. Yeah, this is really amazing.
See?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So Rachel, from my audience who would love to reach out to you, either for coaching sections or to reach out to you for speaking engagements or to connect with you on various platforms, how can they reach out to you
Yeah.
and where's the best platform?
Thank you. Please go to my website. It's therachelbolton.com. There's only one, and that's me.
Yeah.
But you can also find me on LinkedIn. I found you on LinkedIn and asked for you on LinkedIn. So please add me, Benaiah. And also, I'm on Instagram as Coach Rachel Unmuted. So just look for that. I am happy to connect anywhere. Find me on my website or on LinkedIn or Instagram.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you for coming out quick to win and thank you for such a thoughtful and honest conversation. Yeah, and to my audience who would love to reach out, check the show notes. You see the link to reach out to Rachel. Yeah, until next time, keep growing, keep trusting the process. And remember, sometimes what you walk away from is what moves you closer to who you were meant to become. Once again, a pleasure and honor having you on the show, Rachel.
Thank you so much.